Welcome to the CaribNet Business Interview. I am your host, Michael Adams, and along with my colleagues at caribnet.com, we look forward to bringing you a variety of interesting features and interviews from Caribbean entrepreneurs, both at home and abroad. On the 24th of November 2012, the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce will be conducting its 24th Annual Banquet and Business Awards. As a lead into this year's award ceremony, CaribNet have decided to conduct a series of short and informal interviews with the award winners from 2011. Our first interview is with Mr. Paul Lewis of the Coyaba Hotel situated in Anse Beach, Grenada. They were the winners of the Service Excellence Award. Here is the interview. Well, hi Paul, how are you?
I'm very well.
Okay, it's been a year now, or coming up to a year, since the Coyaba won the Service Excellence Award. I suppose you were very, very pleased recipients of that award.
Well, certainly. It was indeed a proud moment for Coyaba and for the staff and management of the Coyaba Beach Resort to receive that award, the Service Excellence Award.
And I mean, and from your perspective, did there come a point when you recognised that you guys were doing the right thing service-wise? Was there, I mean, has it been a long road, or was it something that you feel you've always been close to that mark?
Well, we have always we are always committed to service excellence. I mean, this is something that we strive towards pleasing our guests. All our staff are committed. They do have a passion towards providing excellent service to our guests at all times. So we were not really surprised, but we were pleased to be the recipient of the award.
So basically, from your point of view, it was recognition to some of the work that had gone in. Now, the Coyaba, is there a lot of time spent training the staff? Because obviously, Grenada as a whole and the service industry amongst hotels has in the past come in for some criticism. So this indeed, in that light, is a good award. So how did the Coyaba approach achieving that excellence?
Well, we have ongoing training in terms of for our staff, and management is committed to ensuring that the staff receive the highest level of training, so that they can consistently provide the high level of service that is required, and that our guests can have an enjoyable experience once they come at the Coyaba Beach Resort. And the staff are very committed, and as I said before, they are very passionate towards providing that service. And as I said, we are very pleased that our effort has paid off and that we have been recognized for that contribution.
I mean, I would say that in my experience of coming into the Coyaba, it is refreshing because the staff do appear to be motivated. There's always a fresh and friendly smile, and it's very noticeable. So I commend you on your achievements in that respect, and you were deserved recipients of last year's award.
Yes.
Now, going forward, obviously the year gone by, it's been a difficult year for anybody in tourism. How have you fared at the Coyaba?
I didn't get the last part.
How have you got on with it? How have you met the challenges?
Well, it has been a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge for us and for the entire industry as a whole. However, we recognize that in times like this, we have to step up on the level of service that we provide for our guests in order for us to have that competitive edge. And in terms of going forward, we just have to continue providing the service that is required and that the guests expect of us, and at the same time just managing our costs and hoping that things turn around soon.
Okay, well, I mean, you've raised an excellent point, because I think one of the things that, certainly from my perspective as somebody who has helped businesses when they're struggling through difficult times, that's often the times when they let service standards slip because it's quiet. And in fact, you've just hit on the head for me. That's in fact when you need to step it up.
Definitely, because you see, it's a challenging industry. I mean, there are several businesses competing for basically the same market. And the guest doesn't really care, even though it's one guest in the hotel. We have to treat it as if the hotel is full by providing all the service that is required for that particular guest. And I must say again, our staff, I mean, we are pleased and we are really blessed to have highly committed staff that have genuine passion and concern and caring for the guests, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent attitude. On a more general note, Paul, because obviously there'll be other hoteliers listening to this interview when it's eventually broadcast, what is your perspective on the Caribbean as a region and how we compare to the other regions? Because I know that we, in relative terms, still only get a very small proportion of the tourism trade.
Yes. I think, I'm not sure for the entire Caribbean, but for instance, I think Grenada and several other islands in the Caribbean, the main market is out of the UK. Now, we have to really reposition ourselves and come up with some marketing strategy to attract that market out there, because it's very competitive, it's very challenging, and the disposable income for the people out there is not as before. So now we have to come up with a different approach in order to attract these people to our island.
Yes, I mean, I would totally agree. But so it's the UK, the English-speaking market that you see as your primary market.
That's the primary market, yes, for Grenada and even for Coyaba.
And how have you seen any regional travel to Grenada? Because obviously there's a lot of people who come back to the Caribbean and retire, and in fact the Coyaba represents that type of boutique hotel that I would imagine would be very appealing to them.
You mean for regional travel?
Yeah.
Yes, well, regional travel, we need to encourage regional travel. As I said, there are basically two airline traveling in the region to supply the islands. We have Liat, and then we have Caribbean Airline. Now, for instance, I will give you a typical example. The Trinidadian market that's a very lucrative market that we need to really tap into. Mm-hmm. Basically, what I've learned, the Trinis will basically travel with Caribbean Airlines because Liat is too expensive. And Grenada, I believe, need to really tap into that market because it is a very healthy market that we can benefit from.
And I would agree with you once more, because I think that we're certainly still on the crime scale. We're still well down the ladder, and I find that any time that anybody comes from Trinidad here, they're very surprised at how peaceful Grenada is.
I mean, I have spoken to a few of the visitors that visited Grenada from Trinidad, and they are telling me that we need to do some marketing in Trinidad because a lot of people do not know about Grenada, and especially when they come to Coyaba, they recognize the service that they receive, and it's of excellent quality, and they're really pleased with it. I mean, let's go further afield to Barbados and the other islands. I mean, I have spoken to people in St. Lucia, Barbados, who would like to travel to Grenada. They prefer to go. It is cheaper and easier for them to fly to Miami than to come to Grenada just from Barbados. So that's the challenge that we are faced with even in Grenada in terms of regional travel. People will only come to Grenada really if they have to come and do business or if they really have to take a trip.
So, I mean, really what we need to do is we need to have a look at some of the activities that would attract more people regionally and make more noise about it.
Make more noise about it, but we need to do something with the airlines, the airlift out of these islands. The government, the regional government really have to do some things in terms of lowering that airfare.
Okay.
Because what we have done, we basically have shot ourselves in the leg. The higher the fares that the airline increase, they basically decrease regional travel.
Yes.
Now, if you reduce the airfare, you will get more volume.
Yeah.
And of course, they will benefit even more.
Yeah, and I think that then maybe what needs to happen is boutique hotels such as yourself and other regional hotels who are offering that level of standard of service that people would appreciate really need to have a voice, and maybe we should look to create a forum where that can happen.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, well, just in closing, because I think it's been short, but it's been very informative. Any tips for any companies in terms of prospects who could possibly win this event this year? I mean, win the award that you won last year. I mean, and again, who says you're not going to win it a second year in a row?
I mean, the way I see it, what is really needed to improve service is not really expensive equipment or resources at the property. It's not an elaborate atmosphere, although these have their place, but it's genuine care and concern for the guests and the use of consistent service procedures so that the guests will have will benefit from the service that you provide, and making sure that the quality is of a very high level. Okay,
it's putting the customer first.
Putting the customer first. The customer is always first. And it's not just putting them first, but it must be genuine. There must be a genuine interest in helping the guests to enjoy or to have an enjoyable experience at your property. And everyone from management right down to the line staff have to be committed to that endeavor.
I think that's a fantastic note on which to end this interview. But what I'd like to do is say it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, Paul. And I think if you're an example of what is at the Coyaba, it's no wonder you won the award. You're a shining example that other companies can follow.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
No problem. And we'd love to invite you at another time to do an interview again. So we look forward to that.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. You take care, Paul.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We hope you enjoyed this interview and look forward to you joining us for the rest of the series. I've been your host, Michael Adams, and all that is left for me to do is to wish you all the very best from the CaribNet.com family. And don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues to log in to CaribNet.com for some great features. That's CaribNet.com. That's 2 B's. Goodbye for now.